Alrighty, it's time to do the review of the 6 games that happened in the last 2 days. And throughout these last 2 days of MLS action, we saw both the West and Eastern Conference top teams suffer a loss, and in one cases, the team in the top of the Eastern Conference suffered their first loss of the season. And with that being said, let us actually get into the first game, which is the Columbus Crew, who of course suffered their first loss against NYCFC, and boy did NYCFC need this win, and that I think this win definitely just bought a little bit more time for Ronny Delia, because have NYCFC did not get a win in this, Ronny Delia would definitely be under what already is immense pressure that he's feeling with this team right now. Now, in the first half, just 9 minutes into this game, Jerzy Zardes thought he gave the Crew a 1-0 lead, but unfortunately that goal was disallowed for offside. Well, it wasn't him that was in an offside position, but previously on the pass to him from Etienne Jr., and that he of course was in an offside position, and the game remains at 0-0 heading into 10 minutes into this one. Now, I thought there was a lot of rough challenge that NYCFC gave the Crew in this game, and the referee was letting go a lot of fouls that NYCFC was doing, and that I'm not quite sure, was this Ronny Delia tactics of the fact that he just want to foul the heck out of the Crew's player and trying to go with this stop and go kind of tactics. And if that's the case, I think that's a good tactics against a Crew team that you know that they love to go on the transitional attack, and that if you decided to go with these kind of stop and go approach and just kind of hack players all the time, it doesn't allow these Crew players to get on the transition and create the chances that they of course would need to go. But at the same time, because of the fact that this game was kind of very stop and go, it was definitely not a game a neutral fan would really enjoy, and hence that's why we had to the first half 0-0 with barely anything happen in this game. Now in the second half, NYCFC almost got the opening goal when Matrita unfortunately hits the post. They eventually did get the opening goal in the 59th minute when Alexander Ring was able to score from Abear, and what an unselfish play this was from Abear, where, you know, as a player that I talked about how he seems like he's been snake bit this season, he could have easily slot that one home and give himself some confidence, but instead he decided to choose the unselfish play, and great awareness to see that Alexander Ring was wide open in that far post, and he basically just tapped it into the empty net to give NYCFC a 1-0 lead. That being said, this was also a huge mistake on Keita's part, because he was really the reason why NYCFC was in on goal, and that he gave the ball away in probably one of the worst positions you can give the ball away on the defensive end. That triggers an attack that allow Aber to basically go through and go, and then eventually just pass it right back to Ring, who taps it into the empty net. Now, Medina could have made it 2-0 in favor of NYCFC when he went one-on-one with the goalkeeper, but unfortunately he puts it wide. Yeah, Medina definitely did not have a good game whatsoever, as it feels like every time when he had a big chance to score, he either makes a bad touch or just blaze it over the bar. Now, Johnson then had to deny Pedro Santos to conserve a 1-0 lead for NYCFC, as Columbus was really going for the last couple of minutes of this game. And then it looked like they got the equalizer in the 91st minute when Ali was able to score, but once again, he was in an offside position, and that means that the goal, of course, was disallowed, and that in the end, NYCFC is able to hang on in this one to get the 1-0 result. Shots in this game, 11 shots compared to 7 that Columbus had. Both teams had 3 shots on goal, 3 shots off target compared to 4 that Columbus had. 5 shots that was blocked compared to none that Columbus had. And possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession. And as I said, this is a much-needed win that NYCFC needed this. And I know this definitely was not a performance that you would look back as an incredible performance for NYCFC, and maybe it's kind of a turning point, because I really feel like their attack is still struggling, and you can clearly see that without Maxi Morales in with this team, which he didn't play in this game once again, that how much the attack really struggles on point. Now for Columbus, yeah, it is pretty clear that they dearly miss Zylarian in this game, because I feel like if Zylarian was in this game Columbus could have made a bit of a difference. But then again, they also were a little bit unlucky, the fact that both times they were able to score a goal in this game, only to find both of those times being disallowed because either one of their goal scorer was in an offside position or the development of the play and one of their players from that is in an offside position. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is DC United versus New England. Now, this was the game that I didn't really pay a lot attention to, or at least in the second half part of it, because there was a delay of upwards about 50 minutes because of lightning happened right in the middle of this game. But in the first minute, and literally just 17 seconds into this game, Paredes almost gave DC United a 1-0 lead, and the Revolution broadcast that I watched on the ESPN Plus wasn't even ready. Like, they literally just showed the game, and then the first thing they show is just Paredes, of course, blazed it over the bar, which that is just so peak MLS with the way that a local broadcast or a national broadcast that just completely not aware the fact that the game, of course, starts, and we almost missed potentially the first goal of the game in this one. Now, in the 25th minute, Hamid was able to make a good save on Gustavo Bo from 12 yards out, but Bo would eventually score just 1 minute later. And this one, yeah, I'm pretty sure Hamid would want to have this one back because the fact that Bo, his shot was definitely powerful, but you think that Hamid probably could have saved that one toward the near post and could have covered that one. By the way, New England were up 1-0 in this game, and then just 6 minutes later, this is when the game, of course, was delayed by lightning. Now, in the 36th minute, Hamid would once again deny Kellen Rowe to potentially keep this one at 1-0, but just like last time when Hamid was able to make a decent save, literally a couple of minutes later, New England would get a goal, and this time it was Bunbury that was able to score from the header from the corner that was delivered from Boutner. Definitely questionable defending for DC United on that set piece, but nevertheless, the Revs were up 2-0 heading into the second half. Now, in the second half, DC did get a lifeline when they, of course, were able to get a penalty after VAR ruled that it was a handball on Boutner, which Kamara was able to bury that penalty. Then they definitely got a huge lifeline when Caldwell, of course, was sent off for a studs-up challenge. And, the Revolution broadcast, let's just say that clearly they were being very homer to their team. And you know how Charlie Davies, who is one of one of the person that always go on Extra Time Radio, and you know how I always said that those Extra Time Radio hosts and those guests are so-called MLS expert, because I don't know why did he just spend like 4 minutes decide to create a rant talking about how that is no way in the world being a red card, when clearly Caldwell basically gone in with a studs up. And yes, that even though there was both players kind of go for it and it was a 50-50 opportunity, when you decide to go studs up and caught a leg on one of the player, which this time of course was Felipe, that is always going to be a red card no matter what. So I kind of found it funny that Charlie Davies was just basically spending 3 minutes creating a rant while there was still action that was happening during the game. Now, DC, for the last couple of minutes, they really pushed for the equalizer. They probably could have had it when Ola Kamara had a header that was saved by Turner, and this was an incredible save by Turner, the way that he went full stretch to dive that one out. And in the end, New England was just able to hang on into this one as they get the 2-1 victory against DC United. In terms of the shots in this game, 12 shots compared to 13 that New England has. 3 shots on goal compared to 6 that New England has. Both teams had 4 shots off target. 5 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that New England has. And possession-wise, 57% possession compared to 43% possession. And also, just a quick note, remember how I said in the preview that Bruce Arena was supposed to be back for this game? Well, no, he isn't. He actually got an additional game suspension by Disco because of that choice words that he decided to give to the official right near the game that they got eliminated against the Union. But I think he'll be, of course, be back in the next one. But as for DC, this is getting to a point where it's kind of getting flat out embarrassing with the way way that you had a big chance to potentially get at least a point in this game with the way that you got a lifeline, and also you were up a man for the last couple of minutes. But the inability of the DC United attack, which has been the story of this season, is the reason why they once again walk out of this game empty-handed and did not even get a point in this game at home. But that being said, moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Chicago Fire. Now, if I had a Chicago Fire jersey, I would definitely wear it because, since this was their first win ever at Soldier Field, ever since they, of course, left the stadium back in 2006, I would definitely wear the jersey in honor of that. And I like how in the beginning of before this game was started, their broadcast basically show a very nice kind of tribute in terms of the fact that the Chicago Fire is back at home and back at the place that they've been pretty much been called home for a very long time right now. And it seemed like the Chicago Fire player must have watched that amazing kind of tribute, because they were really on fire in the first couple of minutes. No pun intended. That is over there. Because 2 minutes into the game, Fabian Herbers were able to score from Jimenez. Now, originally this goal was being disallowed, but they did go to VAR to see whether or not if Herbers was just on the line and just on the onside position. And when I look at that replay, I thought he was onside in that instant, because he looked like he was just even with the last defender. And it's good to see that for once VAR actually gave the correct call and gave the Chicago Fire the early lead and a dream start of their return to playing at Soldier Field. Then 8 minutes later, it would be Madron that were able to score from Aliseda, and I was going to put goal of the week with the question mark, but I think, knowing the fact that, actually I probably would still put a goal of the week question mark, because I know last week we had a couple of just decent goal of the week contention that I thought maybe since we already had those kind of considered goal of the week contention, I don't think it's going to be, even if I put goal of the week with a question mark at that goal, probably it will of course won't win goal of the week with the way that there was some incredible goals that was scored from last week. But I also just realized that we're now into a brand new week, so probably should have wrote goal of the week there with the way that he basically just hit that screamer for about 26 yards out, and Teton basically pretty much had no chance in terms of saving that one. Now, he did rob Madron just 5 minutes later, as Chicago looked like they were going to really blow FC Cincinnati out of the window. And of all the praise about the fact that FC Cincinnati has been just a strong defensive team, and that Yapstar has done a great job in terms of really getting this team to be a very strong defensive structure. Yeah, this game was anything but that. I mean, Chicago was all over FC Cincinnati in this game. Their best chance in the first half came in the 33rd minute when Calvo's shot, unfortunately, was clear off the line. But as we head to the second half, Chicago continued to search for that third goal, and Teton had to be called upon again to deny Jimenez of potentially the Fire scoring that third goal. But they eventually would get that third goal in the 66th minute, as Aliseda would score from Sikulic and Coulier, as Chicago were able to get a 3-0 lead up to that point, and that would be the final score of this game, as this was probably the most convincing win that Chicago has had throughout the whole season, which probably tells me that maybe in the next game they are not going to have a convincing win, because, throughout these last couple of games, with the way that the Chicago Fire has struggled, you kind of feel like they were due to the fact that they're going to get a win if they want to keep this inconsistent pattern. And there it is. That's the way that we've seen before. And that, all kidding aside, let's just hope that this is just a kickstart of something good for the Chicago Fire. And that I really hope that they don't once again just kind of prove a lot of people, including myself, that kind of always make fun of them by saying that they're an unpredictable team and a team that just cannot figure out because of how unpredictable they are, with the way that they could be good on one day and then they could just be absolutely terrible on the very next day. But We shall see whether or not if that is the case. And for Cincinnati, it's definitely back to the drawing boards for Jaap Stam, and that, yeah, this was kind of the performance that really gave a lot of memory to Cincinnati fans about last year, and that they hope that this will be something that will not happen regularly, like what happened last year with the way how bad they, of course, play. Now, in terms of shots in this game, 14 shots compared to 8 that Cincinnati had, 7 shots on goal compared to 1 that Cincinnati has. Both teams had 4 shots off target. Both teams also had 3 shots that was blocked. And possession-wise, 53% possession compared to 47% possession. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Union, who gets a 1-0 win against the Redbulls in this game. And that in the first half, for the first 25 minutes or so, the Union definitely looked like they were by far the better team early, and that they were going to get that first goal, which they eventually did in the 31st minute when Przybylko was able to score from Gaddis and Wooten. And I was hoping this was finally the goal that Przybylko has been looking for, as the one that can hit his run that he had last season when he was pretty much unstoppable with those 14 goals that he scored. But throughout this game, despite the fact that he, of course, were able to score that goal, which was kind of a little bit of a tap-in for him, he definitely did not. He still kind of doesn't look like his own self, and definitely does not look like the Przybylko that, of course, were just banging goals for fun like last season. Now, in the 34th minute, Mera was able to deny Bedoya, as the Union could have been up 2-0 up to that point. Przybylko kind of also had to do some defensive duties when he had to clear the ball off the line after Andre Blake fumbled the catch. I mean, this is the weakness of Andre Blake. As much as we know he can make some big save and can definitely steal some result for the Union, he can also basically make some mistake whenever the ball comes into the box, and that if he has to punch the ball out in a crowded area, this is the biggest issue in his game, and that this is probably maybe the issue why a lot of people might consider the fact that as much as Blake is an amazing goalkeeper, he needs to definitely improve on that game if he wants to be considered the best goalkeeper in MLS. Now, in the second half, Blake was back to his unstoppable self when he was able to deny Tom Barrow, who I thought that was probably the best chance that the Redbulls had up to that point. Then Maric had to deny Santos in the 66th minute to prevent the Union going up 2-0 before Przybylko, as I mentioned earlier, you would think that after he got his goal, he was able to finish this chance and give the Union a commanding 2-0 lead and pretty much give the Union the 3 points in this one. But instead, he decided to go for a cheeky chip, and it did not work out whatsoever as it went wide in that instant. The Redbulls were really pushing for the equalizer, but unfortunately they couldn't quite get to it because their attacking final third was mostly very poor throughout this game. And that is the end of the game, as the Union, of course, were able to get the 1-0 result. Shots in this game, 10 shots compared to 8 that the Redbulls had, 4 shots on goal compared to 3 that the Redbulls had, 4 shots off target compared to 2 that the Redbulls had, and 2 shots that was blocked compared to 3 that the Redbulls had. And possession-wise, 51% possession compared to 49% possession. And, certainly the Union, they didn't play very well in this game either, but at least they got the crucial 3 points. And for the Redbulls, it's the same old question for this team. This attack, is it actually going to improve? Because we've seen throughout this season, most of the time, this attack has been very, very lackluster, especially on the final third. And, in this game, I think Armas did play a number 9 when he decided to put Royer and Brian White as the number 9 in this game, and it just didn't turn out to be a great idea whatsoever, because both of those guys were very quiet throughout this whole game, and you can clearly see the Redbulls are clearly need a number 9 right now, or just anybody that can actually be a creative player or a guy that can score goals for this team, because I just don't know where the goals is going to come from with the way that this attack has been performed throughout this year. But moving on, in terms of the next match, is the Montreal Impact versus the Vancouver Whitecaps. Well, in a game where I thought this was probably going to be one of the more boring game of this season, with the way that both of these teams tends to struggle in terms of scoring goals, or at least for one of these teams, they struggle to even make a simple fundamental attack. Well, it turns out it was the Impact getting a 2-0 result against the Whitecaps. And, for Vancouver, if I'm being kind of a little bit optimistic about this team, which is kind of hard to say for any Whitecaps fan, seeing how their team has been playing this season, at least I think this, compared to the three games that they've been playing this season, this is probably the best one that they play, and that at least I did see a couple of times where they at least decided to break out of their shell and actually decide to take some risks and go on the attacking end. But that being said, they still lost in this one, and that they made some key defensive mistake. That was the reason why they lost this one. Now, 9 minutes into this game, Wayama had a big chance to get the opening goal for the Impact, but unfortunately he hits it over the bar. Kyoto would eventually did get the opening goal for the Impact, as he scored from Taide and Lapinainen. Lapinainen would make it 2-0 in the 39th minute from Maurizio, as Montreal was up 2-0 at that point. And I thought at that point that was pretty much game, set, and match. Like, I just didn't think, with the way how the Whitecaps have struggled in terms of scoring goals, and, giving up one goal for the Whitecaps, and you probably have a feeling that most likely it's game over for them, with the way that they just don't have any attacking option whatsoever. Now, in the second half, and one of the things that I've seen with the Whitecaps in terms of the second half is that they always tend to come out really strong, and really come out as a team that looked like they were going to potentially get a goal in these first games. And I just wonder, why exactly is that the case? Is it, in some way it might be the case because Marc Dos Santos basically rallied his team up, and that's why the team, of course, decided to play much better for at least the first 10 minutes of the second half. But why can they not do that for the rest of the game? And why can't they just look as good as they have in these 3 games coming out of halftime as they would do for the full 90 minutes? But again, they came out very strong in the second half and had some signs of potentially getting the goal to get back into this game. And then in the 15th minute, Braguia would whack Cornelius in the box, which means that is going to be a penalty for the Whitecaps. And this was really the moment where the Vancouver Whitecaps could have a chance to get a goal back, and this could really be not only a confident boost in terms of their attack, but they are going to be back into this game and really cause the Impact to be a little bit nervous in this one. But instead, Lucas Cavallini, who already missed a penalty this season, well, he missed another one in this play, as Diop was able to save this penalty. This was, we talk about how the Whitecaps doing that penalty shootout against SKC and how shocking some of those penalty kicks was from them. It seemed like it has continued into the regular season, because that penalty from Cavallini was pretty bad. Like, with the way that he just didn't really hit it with any power, and just easily give Diop a chance to save that one. That was a big opportunity for the Whitecaps to get back into the game, but they just couldn't take advantage of it. And I also wrote, Vancouver did look more committed going forward on the attack for the rest of the second half, but once again, they just lacked that end product, and that there were a couple of times that Montreal did had a chance to potentially get the third goal and really put this game out of hand. But in the end, it finished 2-0 in favor of the Impact, and in terms of shots in this game, 12 shots compared to 10 that the Whitecaps had, 4 shots on goal compared to 2 that the Whitecaps had, 5 shots off target compared to 6 that the Whitecaps had, 3 shots that was blocked compared to 2 that the Whitecaps had, and possession-wise, 45% possession compared to 55% possession the Vancouver Whitecaps had. And, for the Montreal Impact and for Thierry Henry team, congratulations, you just got your free points of the season. And that, for the Whitecaps, I hate to say it, but I'm just going to say the same thing every time when the Whitecaps just look like a team that has no idea what they're doing. Things got to improve with this team, and that I'm pretty sure Marc Dos Santos is feeling the heat right now because of the way how bad with this team is. Because if this is the way that this team is going to play for the rest of the season, they are on the verge of becoming one of the worst MLS team that has ever played in the league. And yeah, it's definitely not the best time to be a Whitecaps fan. And certainly as a Quakes fan that have already suffered a historically bad season back in 2018, my condolences definitely going out to Whitecaps fan that unfortunately they're watching probably some of the worst soccer you will ever watch in your life. But moving on into the last game of these 6 games that happened in the last 2 days. And boy, oh boy, this was a complete reversal of what we saw earlier this season between Sporting KC and the Houston Dynamo. So remember how earlier this season, Sporting KC completely mopped the floor against the Dynamo by winning 4-0 at home? Well, it seemed like the Dynamo didn't forget about that resort, and they feel like they want payback in this resort. And something tells me that some of these ex-Minnesota players, you know, they probably saw what happened on Friday when Minnesota lose to this SKC team, and that I'm pretty sure some of these players still have their hearts with this Minnesota team, because they definitely play like they want some revenge, not only against SKC, but want to avenge Minnesota loss that they suffer against SKC back on Friday. Now, ironically, in the first 10 minutes of this game, SKC looked like they were by far the better team, and they had a couple of big chances of getting the opening goal. But instead, it was Houston that got the opening goal in the 17th minute when Elise was able to score from Quintero and Rodriguez. Quintero would later to have a monster night in this game with two goals and an assist added to his chart. And at that point, that goal was really kind of against the run of plays, because it looked like SKC were the one that was going to get that first goal rather than the Dynamo was going to be the one that gets the opening goal. Then it was almost 2-0 in favor of the Dynamo when Winston Reed almost basically tapped it into his own net, but he's probably thanking the post for saving him there, as that ball, of course, hits off of that. Then in the 26th minute, SKC eventually did get the equalizer when Russell was able to score, and this was kind of a little bit of a fluky goal with the way that Valentin was trying to clear off the line, and I'm not sure did he kind of miscleared it or something like that, but he kind of cleared it off the post, and then it just bounced right into the path of Russell, who basically easily slots it home to give SKC a 1-1 tie. And you think at that point, well, here we go, this is when SKC is going to get going. Not so fast, though, because in the 43rd minute, Christian Ramirez, another former Minnesota United player, would score from Elise and Kyoto, or not Kyoto, but Quintero there. I'm not sure why I wrote Kyoto there, since Kyoto is no longer with the Dynamo. He's actually with Montreal, and also score a goal for the Impact in this game. But it was actually Quintero, the one that I was supposed to write. And actually, remember how I said he, of course, were able to score 2 goals and 1 assist? It's actually 2 goals and 2 helpers that his stat sheet would show after the end of this game. Then in the second half, Hansen would immediately give the Dynamo a 2-goal cushion as he scored from Ramirez and Valentin. But as much as Houston was celebrating that they got the 3-1 lead, SKC immediately respond. And again, this is another fluky kind of goal for SKC, with the way that this ball kind of bounced off the back of Struna, and then somehow in some way, as the ball kind of bounced off his back, it actually hits the post, and then Kinda basically kind of did a stand-up bicycle kick, and then he basically hits off the post and into the back of the net. And that originally they also said that goal was not going to count because the linesman raised the flag for offside, but the center ref would later overrule the linesman call, and the goal was given, and it was 3-2 in favor of Houston. And you also kind of had that feeling this is when SKC is going to really turn on, right? Not so fast again, because in the 57 minutes, Quintero would score from Seren to give Houston a 4-2 lead before Quintero would make it 5-2 in favor of the Dynamo, from Hansen to pretty much complete the 5-star performance that Tab Ramos' team has played in this one. And by the way, they actually had fans in attendance for this game, and that this one, besides the Montreal one, are the only 2 games that actually had fans in attendance for this one, and I'm pretty sure a lot of the fans at Children's Mercy Park, which was about 2,000 of them on hand, was pretty much stunned of what they saw with this team. I mean, this was the same team that beat a Loons team that was unbeaten, and a team that was near the top of the table in that battle of the top two position spot in the game, and they literally conceded to 5 goals to a team that has not won a single game this season. But that being said, a lot of credit has to go with the Houston Dynamo, and a lot of credit has to go with Tad Ramos, where this was really the first time where he definitely got the right tactics, and that this Houston attack, I've been saying that this Houston attack can definitely make some real noise, and boy did they make some real noise in this game as they just completely ripped apart this SKC defense. But that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you do, make sure you guys leave a like, smash that subscribe button. Let me know in the comments below what do you think of these 6 games. And tomorrow I of course will be doing the review for the last 6 game of this midweek action. I'll also be doing a news of the week video in the afternoon and just before when the first game that is going to be kicking off for the Wednesday action. But until then, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys next time.